Welcome to the Publicity for Tourism free tourism publicity tutorial. This is tutorial 1 of our 5-part series. We're going to teach you a good bit about publicity in this series, but if you need a total and complete training package to learn everything that you would possibly need to know about publicity, we do have a paid program here that's going to cost you less than almost any ad that you could buy just for a one-time ad. I've priced it very reasonably, but you can get a lot of information here for free too, or over at ITTMA.com, the International Travel and Tourism Marketing Association. But let me tell you a little bit about this tutorial. Tutorial 1 is going to ask you a bunch of questions to set the stage for your publicity. So you're probably going to want to get pen and paper out and write these questions down and answer them if you can. You may have to pause this video, but answer the questions as best you can, or write them down for future use so that you can answer them. This will give you the foundation, because publicity is about stories. They're called news stories for a reason, and you have to create a compelling story if you want the media to use your publicity. Anyway, let's get started. Why do you want publicity? What's the purpose? If it's just to advertise your business, it's probably the wrong thing to do. However, if you want people talking about your business, publicity is absolutely the way to go. What's your story? What does your business do that's unique? What is your business? Tell us. Tell us about your area. Tell us about your personal background. You have to have a story, and it has to be compelling enough that somebody's going to care about it. Ideally, that somebody is going to be your ideal guest, meaning the demographic or type of person or people that you want to come be guests at your tourism business. The key to getting publicity is studying the kinds of stories and interviews that the media like to do, and then based on that, create a story about you and your business that will get them to notice you. You can create powerful and unique stories specific only to you that inspire others or help them solve problems that only you can solve. Now you have to think about this. If you pick up a magazine or a newspaper, look at the kinds of stories they're giving, especially if it's a travel magazine or self-help or heck, fashion. Fashion magazines are wonderful because they're always trying to help you. Fashion magazines are very good to study in terms of trying to get media. First of all, who are you? You have to figure out who you are, and you have to be able to tell people who you are. You need to do this in as brief a period as time for your elevator pitch, which should be about 8 to 12 seconds. Anybody told you it was 30 seconds, they are not in the new media age. You have 8 to 12 seconds to define who you are. My definition for me: I teach tourism businesses how to market and publicize themselves, period. I do a lot of it for free. I do some of it for pay, and that is who I am. So that's my elevator pitch. If there was a secret passion in your life besides your current business, something which is almost too exciting to actually do or do more of, what would it be? My secret passion would be adventure travel. Now, I don't do very much of it, and some of it scares me to death. But that is my secret passion. But I also like going on group tours and going to regular touristy, kitschy kinds of places. That's what I do. I'm also an avid photographer. I ran a photography business for 15 years. I just had to move away from that because the business wasn't going in the direction I wanted it to go in, and I just didn't feel like trying to take that ship and turn it all the way around. It wasn't my passion anymore from a business standpoint, which is why I'm helping tourism businesses now. What would you say have been your 3 greatest accomplishments to date? You have to think about what you've done in your life that has been great. I've done several things in my life. One was the photography business that I ran for 15 years. Raising my son, I don't really know. I have to answer this question for myself, and so do you. What are your 3 greatest accomplishments to date? Because sooner or later, somebody interviewing you is going to ask you what you think your greatest accomplishment is, and you're going to have to be able to pick the one that fits the best, which is why you need 3. What do you contribute that is unique? Think about your area, think about your business. What do you or your business do that is unique? Now, I provide tourism marketing training at no cost in a lot of cases on the ITTMA website. That's what I do that is unique. I have an association that is no cost membership where you can go and learn lots of stuff for free. You might do the same thing. You might offer classes at your business. If you have a hotel or a bed and breakfast, you might have some kind of classes or lecture series that you run that nobody else is doing. Think about things like that. If you run a miniature golf course, you could have professional miniature golfers come and do exhibitions at your course. There are lots of things you can think of, but what is it that you contribute or could contribute that is unique? Do you have a personal or professional vision? If so, what is it? Mine is very simple. I want the International Travel and Tourism Marketing Association to become the largest tourism marketing training organization in the world, period. That's what it is. And I want to make sure that every independent tourism provider gets the training they need, whether they can afford anything, whether they can afford nothing. That's my goal. I want people who want to travel to be able to see the world, and I want tourism providers to let them know what's out there so that they can see it, because I think travel is the most mind-opening experience there is. That's my personal and professional vision. I want the tourism providers to know how to get the word out there, and I want the regular people to go out and travel and support the tourism providers. What does your company do? Well, I think I've said it. What does your company do? That's what you have to figure out for yourself. What does it do? Why do you do it? How do you do it differently from your competitors? Who does your company do it for? This is where you look at your ideal guest. Who's your ideal guest? Is it kids taking a gap year between high school and college who are looking for a very inexpensive trip? Is it mid-20s who are looking for more of a party vacation? Is it newlyweds who are going on honeymoons? Is it families with children who are looking for a family-friendly type of setting? Is it older people, middle-aged people who don't have kids, or their kids are grown up, but they're still working and they're looking for more of a professional type of environment? Or is it retired people, people who are just looking to explore the world in their golden years? Each demographic is different, and you have to market to them different, and you have to publicize to them different. You wouldn't talk to a retired person the same way you would talk to someone in their mid-20s. Don't do that with your publicity, and don't do that with your marketing. Why did you start your company? Why do you exist? There has to be a space in the market that needed filling for your company to exist. If you're just another hotel, then you're going to get just another hotel guest. You need to determine who you are and why you're there, and exactly what niche that you fill. So why did you start the company? Was it your life's dream? Is there something you just did for money? You have to have a story to tell, and when the reporters want to know who you are and what you're doing, you have to have an answer to this question. What makes your company unique? We just talked about that. What are you doing that makes you different from everything else? Now, I just drove down the beach near where I live. I live about 90 minutes from the Atlantic Ocean. So I drove down the street that parallels the ocean and looked at all the new development that was coming up and some of the old development. And I can pick out the different hotels and what sort of business they target. It's pretty easy. You've got some that are for bargain vacationers. You've got some for people who want to spend a lot of money. Most of them, however, cater to the average family that's coming down to the beach. You have to figure out what makes yours different. It can't just be price. Pricing is going to be pretty similar. Everybody gives a free breakfast. Everybody's got a nice swimming pool. You have to have something that makes you a little bit different, especially if you're an independent. The chains have tons of money to put into marketing. They'll get people there with loyalty cards and whatnot. You have to have something a little different. Then for you personally, what makes you uniquely qualified to be successful with your company or in the industry you're in? Whether it's hotels, whether it's restaurants, whether you're in an amusement park, whatever kind of tourism business that you provide for, whether it's adventure travel or running a tour company. What's your background? Why did you get into it? How did you get into it? What makes you qualified to do it? Have you won any awards? Do you have a pristine safety record? These are all things that are going to make good background story. What's the boldest, most outrageous and provocative statement you're willing to make about yourself, your company, your area, or your industry? Publicity is all about standing out. Fame is what sells. There are people like Kim Kardashian who are famous for being famous. Anna Nicole Smith was a sort of known Playboy bunny. But then when she got her own reality TV show and then she suddenly died, it was a worldwide sensation. Anna Nicole Smith. Nobody knew who she was. But she was outrageous. She made statements that boggled the mind, and she stood out. You need to be a little over the top in order to get the media that you want to get, especially if you want to get it consistently. That's how the Kardashians stay in the news. So figure out what statement are you willing to make without going so far out that it's not you anymore. You have to be real for yourself, but you have to push that reality to its edge. Here are the kinds of stories that you're going to want to look at and see how you can take those questions and tie them into news and tie them into the kind of news that people are going to want to read. The statement everybody makes is, what's in it for me? That's your audience. What's in it for your audience? Don't bore them. Boredom doesn't sell anything, and boredom will not get you publicity. So here are the kinds of stories that you need to look at. And you've got to avoid the temptation of saying, hey, my business is different. These ideas aren't going to work for me, because quite frankly, any business, anywhere, can get publicity if they find a unique angle or a unique spin or a unique story that makes people want to read about them, hear about them, and have news people interview them. You're announcing something new. If you're announcing something new, make sure it's something new people care about. If you had your parking lot repaved, nobody cares. Nobody cares whether your parking lot is paved or not. Quite frankly, they want it to be repaved. But it's not a news story. If you sent that to your local newspaper, that's barely going to get one line. However, if you just brought in a world-renowned Caribbean chef to your restaurant, people are going to want to know about that. I know they will in my town. My town's a bit of a foodie town, and people are always looking for what the new thing is in food, or whatever it is. If you just remodeled your lobby, nobody cares if it's just a regular hotel lobby. But if you've themed it to look like, the Great White North, where you have igloos and Eskimos and things like that, that will make some news. It has to be unique, but announce something new. Tie into breaking news as the news breaks. This is one of the easiest ways to get into the news. If you can comment on an existing story in the local, regional, national, international news, whatever it is, you will be able to get some media coverage, because all of a sudden you're going to be the local expert on whatever it is. If there was a plane crash and you have some tie into the aviation industry, you can talk about that. If there was a flood somewhere and you're in the hotel business, you can talk about how that's affecting the industry and talk about it with your local news, so that when they're talking about the national or international story, they have a local expert. You can tie into annual events or holidays. Heck, everybody ties into Christmas or Valentine's Day. There's got to be something you can do that makes you stand out when you're talking about these kinds of stories. You can raise a controversial issue or tie into one. One of the things I like to talk about in my program is that there is a method of sending out press releases that everybody tells you you have to do that's going to get you tons of business and tons of press and make you sound good on Google. And it's total crap. It doesn't work. It will not work. And you're wasting your money. You're throwing it in a giant hole if you do it. That's my controversial issue. I'm sitting here while all the other guys are saying, do this. And I'm saying, nope, don't do that. You should do this instead. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because that's part of the full course. But it's one of those things where you have to be different. If people are saying, hotels have to be 10 stories tall, you tell them they have to be 13. And you tell them there needs to be a 13th floor, despite the fact that people are superstitious about 13. Raise a controversial issue. You have to figure out what that issue is on your own. You have to pitch yourself or your business as part of a trend. If 20-somethings are going out and staying in hostel-style rooms with 6 bunk beds in the room, redo your hotel or part of it. Be part of the trend. I'm not saying that's the trend you have to follow, but if there's a trend out there, get on board, because that will keep you in the news, and be one of the first to get on board in your area or with that demographic. Promote your personal story. News media loves human interest stories. If you built your business from the ground up with your bare hands and $2 in your pocket, tell that story. They love a hard luck to riches story. You have to figure out what about your personal life makes you interesting enough to be in the media, and then promote that. Be the story. If you look at Richard Branson, he started as a kid with dyslexia who liked music and just managed to start a record company from the seat of his pants and nothing, and built it into this giant empire. That's the kind of personal story you're going for. Yours will not be that big because I'm betting you're not a billionaire. I'm not a billionaire either. But that's the kind of story you need to work on. Tie into a popular movie. Is there a movie out there that focuses on your region or your type of business? Maybe you're in a wine region and there's a movie that features wine in it or wine lovers. Perhaps there's a movie that takes place in Italy and you have some tie-in to Italy because you have an Italian chef in your business. Find something that ties in. I bet Rio de Janeiro did wonderful with the Fast and Furious movies when they went down there. Find something that you can tie into and talk about it on the local media. Tie in with celebrities the same way. Have you had a celebrity come in? Do a celebrity look-alike contest at your establishment. Whatever you have to do. Have an Oscar awards party. You can do something for charity. This is the easy one. If you're not cash-strapped and you can help out a charity, publicize it. Get the word out. If you are cash-strapped, offer your facility as part of the charity. Let them hold their event there. Do whatever you have to do, but you can tie into charity, and that will get you some publicity. You can do a survey. Want to find out what people are thinking. Want to see what the trends are. Be the one reporting the trends. Report that 20-somethings are not buying wine anymore. They're only buying beer when they go out. Report that they would rather go hiking in the mountains than down to the beach. Find out. Survey them. Survey your ideal guest and find out what they're really thinking. Help people solve a problem. This goes back to the classes. You could put together a guidebook for your area. That helps people solve a problem. And if you're the one on it, who sponsored it, who's got their name on there the biggest, that's a great way. If your business is niche focused, where you have a particular demographic that likes to do a particular thing, offer tutorials, offer classes, have guest speakers in, but help people solve a problem. This one I've talked about. target a certain demographic, race, religion, or another niche, whether it's age, whether it's things people like to do. And then talk about that. Put that in the news. Put out stories that are targeted specifically to these people. You can issue a top 10 list, and you can get this information off the internet. Just put your own spin on it. Top 10 issues about something that affect your ideal guest. Create a memorable brand or name. And I talked about this a little bit before. Do something outrageous. It will get you in the news. Write an op-ed. That's a letter to the editor. This is the simplest, easiest way to get press. You can do it in your local newspaper. Find local or regional travel magazines or magazines that are specific to whatever niche your tourism business is aimed at. If you do whitewater adventures, find a whitewater rafting magazine and write a letter to the editor. Now make sure that you're commenting on something they've done in the magazine. But that is the easiest way to get press. Publicity calendar. A publicity calendar is when all these publications decide when they're going to run particular kinds of stories. You should do the same thing. Put together a calendar of events throughout the year where you say, these are the kinds of things we're going to target based on all those types of stories and based on the questions that you've been asked. What is it that you're going to do and when are you going to do it so you can plan ahead? Do you have new products or services coming out? Are you going to partner with anyone? And if not, you might want to think about it. Are there any awards that you're up for or recognition that you should get? Are there any special events in your area or with your business? Same thing with milestones. Start to fill out your publicity calendar, even if you just have 1 or 2 story ideas. You can get something going. If you want more information, come back for tutorial number 2. If you want a whole lot of information, you can purchase the complete Publicity for Tourism course right here at publicityfortourism.com. I'll see you for lesson number 2.